The sun bled across the desert horizon like a wound reopening, its dying light stretching across redstone, thornbrush, and distant mountains that stood like ancient guardians watching the land breathe. Elena Hart had been traveling for hours, her boots heavy with dust, her throat parched, and her mind burning with one single instinct: protect the boy at all costs. She didn't know why fate had placed this child in her arms. She didn't know why men with rifles had been tracking them for miles. She didn't even know what tribe the boy belonged to. She only knew that when she had stumbled upon him, alone, frightened, and hiding beneath a broken wagon, she had recognized a fear she once carried: herself. She couldn't leave him. So she ran, and now, standing at the edge of a rocky ridge, wind whipping her hair, Elena clutched the small boy close to her chest as the hooves of horses thundered closer behind her. The men shouted for her to stop. Brutal voices, greedy voices, the voices of men who had taken before and would take again. Elena pushed the boy behind her and lifted the only weapon she had managed to grab, a rusty revolver with only one bullet. She had been preparing herself to use her own body as a shield when a sudden shift in the air made her freeze. Silence. The horsemen's voices cut off mid-yell. The wind itself seemed to tense. Then, from the shadows of the ridge, he stepped out. Tall, broad, fierce, painted in the colors of his ancestors, eyes burning with a warrior's storm. The Apache warrior. She'd heard whispers of him in border towns, stories of an unstoppable protector, a hunter of hunters, a spirit in human form. She had never believed them until he stood before her now. Real, powerful, terrifyingly calm. The men behind her cursed and raised their guns, but before they could fire, the warrior moved with a speed that didn't belong to any human she'd ever seen. His knife flashed like a shard of the moon. The echo of his horse's hooves shook the ground. One man fell, then another, struck down before they understood what they were facing. Elena watched in stunned breathlessness as he disarmed them, broke their rifles, and stood between her and every danger like an unmovable wall of iron and fury. When the last surviving man tried to flee, the warrior's voice cut through the desert like a blade. You hunted a child. You do not leave this place. And when he didn't, after the violence settled and the wind breathed again, the warrior turned toward her. His gaze locked on the boy first, not with suspicion, but with something deeper: recognition, relief, pain. Then he looked at Elena. You protected my son, he said in a voice rough as canyon stone. Elena swallowed, still trembling. I didn't know he was yours. I just knew he needed help. The warrior stepped closer, towering over her. But there was no threat in his stance, only certainty, an unshakable weight of gratitude and something else she couldn't yet understand. You stood your ground when others would run, he said. You faced death when you did not have to. He looked again at the boy now, clinging to her skirt as if he had always belonged there. The warrior's jaw tightened. He flexed his hand over his heart, then pointed two fingers toward her in a gesture she didn't recognize. From this moment, he said, voice low and final, you walk with me now. Elena blinked. Walks with you? You protected what is mine, he said, and now I protect you. She felt the world tilt around her. She had been alone for so long, running for so long, surviving by inches. What did protection even feel like? Before she could answer, he lifted the boy gently, checked him for injuries, then looked back to her with a seriousness that made her pulse stumble. There are more coming, he said. Not just for him, now for you too. You saved the heir of my bloodline. The ones who wanted him will not stop. If you leave my side, you will die. Elena stared at him, at the sharp lines of paint on his cheekbones, at the strength in his stance, at the strange calmness in his eyes. He was a storm wrapped in flesh, but his words, they felt like truth, heavy, unwavering, binding. The sky darkened above them, the wind rising like a warning. The warrior extended his hand, not as a command, but as an offering. Come, he said. The journey ahead is long, and enemies will hunt our tracks, but stay close and no man will touch you. You have my word as a warrior and as a father. Elena hesitated only long enough to breathe, then she placed her trembling hand in his. The desert shifted around them, and fate sealed a new path beneath their feet. A path she had not asked for, but perhaps one she needed. As he led them into the red dusk, She heard his final words carried on the wind like a vow carved into stone. From this night forward, you walk with me. And for the first time in years, Elena felt something she thought she had lost forever: safety, purpose, and the promise of belonging.